WJHG, this is First Alert Weather Plus.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm meteorologist Emmett Rice.
And I'm meteorologist Trey Tonneson.
And I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Michaels. Today we are going to recap the big event of 2025 for us. It was referred to sometimes as the 2025 whiteout. Some called it the Snowmageddon, if you get what I'm saying, Emmett.
Yeah, areas along the southeast stretching from Houston, Texas to Blakely, Georgia, experienced a polar vortex that allowed for record-breaking snowfall.
And as a lot of you remember, here in Northwest Florida, some folks were able to wake up and experience a winter wonderland outside of their windows. Our very own Isabella Ben-Humea has the story.
I'm here in downtown Phoenix Springs where we can see a lot of snow. A lot of snow has accumulated throughout the night. There's snow all over the ground, on top of roofs, on top of trees. The Phoenix Lake is right there. It's very, very cold. And we're just seeing everything filling up with snow. And then if we take a look over here, it's so cold that the water in this fountain has frozen. We are seeing some icicles here in this fountain. We're seeing a lot of them. This is truly amazing to see this happening in Florida. All the water in this fountain has frozen, as well as the water on the ground. It's a little bit slippery, so a little bit dangerous to be stepping on that. And then if we take a look at this chair over here, we can also see some icicles on this bench. Some ice is just frozen. So we are driving around with the fire rescue department, and the chief tells me that they got a lot of calls last night and they are expecting more calls today. Chief, tell me what you guys have been seeing since last night.
So we've had numerous 911 calls. There are stranded vehicles all over the sides of the roadways, from disabled vehicles unable to continue down the road.
And we're seeing a lot of snow right now, correct?
Yeah, snow and ice. So now we're going to be dealing with ice for a majority of the day.
It's looking truly magical here in the Phoenix Springs. This is a historical event never seen before in Florida, and we'll just keep kind of walking around, driving around with the fire rescue department to bring you guys all the latest information. Reporting in the Phoenix Springs, Isabella Ben-Humea, News Channel 7.
Well, certainly fun to look back and see some of those shots there. We picked up quite a bit of snow from that event, guys, and it was an event for us here in the South that you typically don't get the normal setup for.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is something that was extraordinary. I was just down the coastline myself, living near the beach in Mississippi, and it's a funny story now to tell because it was just me, and I was saving some money, living in a little old trailer at a campground, and I opened my door. One push, two push, three pushes, all fell out all over the ground. Snow stacked up the steps.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, not my case though. When I was in I was north in Starkville going to class.
Go Dogs?
Yeah, go Dogs. And we just had some very cold rain.
Very cold rain, yeah, because it all has to do with the kind of setup that we had actually when it comes to this system that we dealt with in 2025. It was actually different than the way that we got snow in 2026. But in this case, if you look back to the snow system and its setup, we actually already had freezing conditions in place for us already. That was from an Arctic front that moved its way on through, and then warm, moist air started to surge up out of the Gulf on top of that freezing layer for us, and that led to the potential of us looking at precipitation forming in the atmosphere. When warm, moist air rises up over cold air, it's getting forced into the atmosphere where it can cool, condense, and form into some showers. And so that basically led to the initial setup of us, and talking about precipitation types, how we kind of went through a changeover actually of some of the warmer air rising up over the colder air and starting to produce some frozen variety of precipitation, because at first we necessarily weren't completely at freezing. at the surface. And so we actually started to see the onset of warm air leading towards just rain showers. But as things got colder in the atmosphere and all the way down towards the surface where we did have freezing setup, we actually went through almost every single type of wintry weather with this event. Because right at the initial layers of the atmosphere, when we did get down to freezing, some of that rain tried to freeze on surface, on contact. That would be freezing rain. It's falling as rain. It freezes once it hits the freezing layer at the surface. Now, as that freezing and that cold air starts to get a little bit thicker in the atmosphere, as the warm, moist air, the warm nose of that warm front pushing up over the cold air, starts to freeze maybe into little ice pellets, and those can reach all the way down to the ground as sleet. Has a distinct sound to it. It sounds very much different than maybe a rain shower splatting on the roof. It almost sounds like little tinkles coming down from the skies. If it's falling on, say, a surface that's hard or metal, it sounds like that. Tink, 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 tink. Once we work our way into the atmosphere that's completely frozen, then we get snowfall to happen, and that's changeover happened pretty rapidly for us. We ended up seeing roughly 4 to 6 inches of snow here across the area. Well, some of you sent in photos during the event, and if they've been buried in your camera roll, meteorologist Emmett Rice is here to also remind you of what you took.
Yeah, of course, Ryan, and we got some fantastic photos sent in from you, the viewer. If we take a look over at these photos sent in from Lynn Haven, from Angela, we've seen some people utilize canoes out on the snow. You can see you have a little dog leading the way here as well. This gentleman right here with the tractor. But you know, this is hilarious. I mean, you could see 3 kids all in the canoe just to get by and let them enjoy a nice, fun event with that. But I-10 also was a winter wonderland. I mean, you are barely seeing the roads there. As you can see, this bridge right over I-10 is completely covered in snow sent in from Keith. Snow in Freeport. Freeport received about 10 inches of snow from this event, as you can see, and pretty much a complete whiteout here in Freeport. This beautiful photo sent in from Sam. You can see the snow just covering that little bridge that goes over the creek, and just nothing but white trees as well. Snow completely covering it, and I could guarantee that, you know, he probably tried to open up that door and was, like Trey was saying earlier, barely being able to open up that door due to snow accumulating on his porch. But nonetheless, some gorgeous photos sent in from you, the viewer. So again, we really appreciate that. And we're going to have more coming up here in a minute regarding this big event. So stay tuned and stay with us.
Welcome back, and those of you in Calhoun County probably remember when we were all advised to stay home and stay warm.
Yeah, well, we dug up the phone call with Calhoun County Emergency Services, and not only did we get a message of how to stay out of harm's way,
but we also received details of how residents in Calhoun County enjoyed the wintry wonderland. They woke up to this. Here's that call.
You have been out and about and very busy for the last couple of days at least. Tell me what you're seeing over in Calhoun County.
Well, of course, like other areas, I'm seeing a lot of snow. Something we're not used to in this area. Our area seemed to get about 5 inches worth of snow.
So as you've been going about the county, out and about, what are you seeing? Are people heeding the warnings to stay off the roads?
Yes, they are. We are very thankful for the community. They have been heeding the warnings, and that's one of our biggest things. We've just been really concerned with the driving conditions in this area.
What are some of the warnings that you want to get out to the people in Calhoun County for the next at least couple of days?
Well, as with all the areas in the Panhandle, we are experiencing those icy conditions on the road, and we are expected to drop in those teens, you know, overnight, and that will refreeze that slush. So we're really concerned about people being on the roads and the chances of black ice and accidents. So we just really ask, if you do not have to travel, please stay home and stay warm.
So have you seen a lot of excited people?
Absolutely. I've made some loops around, and I've gotten several pictures of snowmen and children out in the yards having snowball fights. It has been, you know, nice to see everyone enjoying it.
Yeah, that was quite the event. I really do wish I was here for that one.
Yeah, and to hunker down and stay warm, that's
perfect for hot chocolate in a movie.
It is. It is. And to stay off the roadways was one of the big things, too, because I remember even driving into work the night of, pretty much. I was home, and we were worried about how, everybody was going to get positioned to kind of come into work. I decided that I wanted to be home and spend it with my son and my family because this would have been his first time seeing snow. And we were outside playing, in it and all that kind of stuff. But then coming in on all the roadways, it was kind of dicey there in the morning hours.
Yeah, it brought you back to when you were working up north. I can imagine.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a good thing I had that experience of living in Wisconsin for a little while.
Though this event was a dream come true for many, it was also a nightmare for drivers, as we just went over.
Yeah, and our awesome sports reporter, Hayden Smith, who's no stranger to snow as well as himself, took his talents away from the sports and he went into news too.
Yeah, happy Hoosier now. Smith made his way to Jackson County to report on the road conditions caused by the snowfall. And those of you who remember, conditions, they weren't pretty.
Well, you guys have been staying with our coverage here in Jackson County ever since Tuesday afternoon. And today I got the chance to ride along with EMS officials to survey really how bad these roadways are in Jackson County.
Most of what we saw last night were people adhering to and understanding that it was dangerous conditions and not being out. But the few that we ran into, most of them did have to move. It were critical workers, nurses, medical staff, public safety dispatchers, law enforcement and fire rescue type individuals that had to move, and they were trying to do so safely. And in most cases, we basically had to not really rescue, but retrieve them and either take them to their place of employment or get them back to a safe place.
And as you saw right there, the roadway is still very mushy throughout here in Jackson County, but don't fret, because in another 35 to 40 years, whenever it snows again, you can count on Jackson County EMS. From Jackson County reporting, Hayden Smith, News Channel 7.
Funny that he mentioned, it was a 3 or 4 decade kind of an event, almost a generational event, especially to get that much snow. I would definitely agree with, 35, 40 years is about what we saw. It was 1980s the last time we saw a significant snowfall like that. But we actually just made history in 2026, guys.
That's true. I was about to mention that myself. I was going to say, for the first time ever, 2 years in Florida with back-to-back snowfall accumulation. So not only was that snowfall itself, but the amount of snowfall was just incredible.
Yeah, in 2025's totals, and that's 2025 and 2026. First time that snow has ever fallen twice, 2 seasons back-to-back like that, ever.
Yeah. And as we saw right there, roadways across the Panhandle were pretty much undrivable.
Yeah, and as we heard in that phone call also with Calhoun County Emergency Services, once snow melts and another cold day is in the forecast, that melted snow sometimes refreezes as water ice on the road again. And yet again, that can make things unpassable.
Yeah. And our reporter, JT Lynch, he told the story of the dangers of driving on those icy roads and how doing so doesn't only put you in danger, but our first responders as well.
Snowmen all over Panama City Beach. While the frosty smiling faces tanned on the shore, snow all over the city melted. The issue? Much of it will freeze again and won't be as friendly as the snowmen.
You might see some of this snow-ice mixture melting on the road, and what people need to know is that it is not going to evaporate quick enough or fast enough so it does not freeze again before the weather drops.
The ice has already begun impacting drivers. This is footage from a tow truck and a police officer that responded to a crash along the icy part of Front Beach Road.
There are far too many people on the roadway right now, okay? We've sent message after message out to the community. Help us out. Stay at home. These roads are slick.
The roads are not just dangerous for the general public, but also for our first responders.
And if you find yourself in a situation that is totally preventable by staying off the roadway, whether you get in a wreck or there's some type of emergency that happens and you are expecting to get to you quickly, that's not going to happen.
As much as we hate to see our frosty friends melt away, they are not worth the risk.
And since we don't have, salt trucks staying, hunker down in your house is definitely the best.
You know, they invested in getting things like sand trucks and stuff like that, but you get car compression on the snow, and that compresses it into ice, and then you can also get the melt and the refreeze that creates that.
Well, it's not all bad that you didn't get that salt on the roadways, because I'm sure you learned living up north, that salt, man, that does a wonder on cars. Yeah, rust those things clean out. But somewhere else we see plenty of salt. 24/7, 365 is our beaches. So we have some photos from the beaches that accumulated some snow. Nick Vetter over in Panama City Beach. What's that guy's name that's the famous snowman? Who's the goat of all snowmen?
Frosty?
There you go. Yeah. He picked right up on it.
Talking about Eddie Vedder or something like that.
Like the singer?
Yeah, Frosty the Snowman. Look at the snowman. That, you know, there were some giant snowmen that I saw folks building, even in my neighborhoods. I know out at the golf course, I saw some huge ones out in people's backyards. Those took a long time to actually melt away.
Yeah. You know, and I will tell you what, guys, I've never actually made a snowman before in my life.
Wow.
No kidding.
No.
All right, well,
maybe
hold out
2027 we'll get another event
Hold
like
out
this.
hope, yeah, I was going to say maybe
the
end of 2026 will help you out a little bit or something like that. We also had some other really cool shots coming in from beach locations that were dealing with snow, such as even the piers. Take a look at this. This was St. Andrews State Park out at the piers, and in Leon's shot, you can see the accumulations on top of the railways there. And what's an interesting shot here is because the water temperatures, you know, those of course are above freezing. But that just goes to show you that even elevated surfaces on top of that could still be cold enough to hold some of that snow there for a little while.
And that's something we just saw in our most recent event, where the ground, you see pavers, clear of snow, but you look just above the pavers. I don't know if Ryan remembers this, but we saw a watering can, for like a garden watering can, had accumulation on it just below that watering can, which was laying on the ground. Nothing.
Just above it, just above those pavers. Pavers were melted, the watering can had the snow. All right, folks, coming up on Weather Extra.
From surfing waves to roadways, surfers took to the streets last year.
Those memories coming up. Well, when those wave conditions are right, you've certainly heard of people surfing in the Gulf, maybe paddleboarding. But what about surfing on the snowy streets? This is some video sent in from some of our Panama City Beach viewers, and it looks like they are certainly having a blast.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, this is just epic Florida enjoying snow. You know what I mean? I mean, like, people from up north are gonna look at us like,
what are we doing?
But this is how Floridians do it down here in the South.
I feel like that's the way to do it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Take the fins off, get the board out there on the street.
And you know what they say as meteorologists, if we're not out there doing that type of stuff, we need to get a little bit of an investment in bread and milk. Get that kickback when we forecast snow, you know what they say. But yeah, we do have something else for you that has to do with science.
It's a familiar face too that's going to give us a little science lesson. This one taking us to Defuniak Springs to discuss how evaporation fog happens.
Hi everybody, I'm meteorologist Megan Kennedy. I'm in Defuniak Springs in Walton County, and we're at Lake Defuniak, where you can see a lot of this snow is still untouched. And as we look towards the lake, I want you to notice something. You can see off in the distance, it kind of looks like there's fog coming off the lake as the breeze rolls in. And what that's actually doing is those lake waters, believe it or not, they're cold, but they're a lot warmer than what the air temperature is. And so that's allowing for that lake water to almost instantaneously evaporate into the air. And that is what you're seeing really in live action as that water evaporates off that lake water and continues to come onto, I guess we could call it the shore. But with that, just a fun science lesson over here into Walton County. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and continue to see what cool things I can find out here for you guys. In Defuniak Springs, Megan Kennedy, News Channel 7.
Yeah, certainly cool to get a science lesson with something that you might not be familiar with seeing, you know, and learning how that goes. We also had some other cool photos, Trey, those coming in from places I like to hit.
Yeah, places he literally likes to hit. Firstly, though, we're taking a look at Mariana. This one's sent in from Renee in a shot that's reminiscent of something I'd see when I started my TV career. The sky and snow on the ground as well as the barn gives that rustic feel. Maybe you'd see it out there in somewhere like Montana, but no. This is our very own Mariana sent in by Renee. But onward to those places Ryan would like to hit and often does. Panama Country Club, sent in by Christian. Ryan, on the count of 3, tell me exactly what hole number this is. 1, 2, 3. Hole number
6.
There he is. I knew he'd come through there.
Yeah,
Green
about
right in the
110
middle.
yards away
See?
there, Trey, and got to hit a nice little shot, little wedge. You don't want too much spin. That green's actually really hard to hold.
Yeah, he's got the exact yardage memory in his memory. How about that right there? But we got him another shot here. See if he can do it again. Charlie from Panama Country Club. I think this is one hole next. Ryan, am I correct? Hole number 7.
Iconic par 3 there over the water.
Yeah, iconic par 3 over the water, and over that water you'll see snow flying off in that shot right there. Snow on the ground and snow on the roof as well. So you had all facets of this particular snow event in this particular photo. In the air, on the roof, and on the ground as well. But coming up, somebody else who seems to be on the roof, on the ground, and all around. Barry Lowen converses with those who are no strangers to snowfall. That story up next.
Well, guys, there's only one way that we're going to close this show out, okay? And that's with a look back at reactions from folks who are no stranger to waking up to snow on the ground.
Though these folks came to the Sunshine State in hopes of only seeing sandy white beaches, they were surprised to experience both sandy and snowy beaches.
Barry Lowen has that story.
Magical and historical at the same time.
Winter came early and unexpectedly to the Florida Panhandle Tuesday, bringing joy, awe, and even a bit of chaos. For the first time in decades, locals and visitors alike were treated to a rare snowstorm, turning beaches into winter wonderlands.
It was precious watching it out the windows when it was coming down. Sometimes it would be just like glitter snow. It would be so small. And then change to sleet and we could hear it tapping on the ceiling. But this is the first time I've ever seen snow in Panama City Beach.
But with the beauty came challenges. Snow-covered roads turned treacherous for some.
There were still crazy people driving 50 miles an hour on that icy slush. We're from Michigan, so this is April in Michigan. I'm not shoveling it, but I'm not going to drive in it either.
Families made the most of the rare snowfall. Snowmen popped up across the Panhandle, blending snow and sand in true Florida style.
We've counted about 15 snowmen that kids have built.
We just came from, we had what, 10 or 11 inches right before we left to come down here.
In Ohio. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime, probably a 30 or 40 year experience, right?
Yesterday, I was walking and taking a video on the beach, and I was saying, hey, all of my friends back in Wisconsin, we have snow, but we don't have the Gulf when we're looking at this snow.
And she said it was exhilarating.
I came back and said, this is so exhilarating.
I'm
He's like, you're crazy.
I want the warmth. I want to go golfing this weekend.
For visitors who traveled south to escape the cold, this storm was definitely a surprise.
Well, it's amazing. I left Ohio, so I'd never see snow again. I wish I had a shovel, but I don't. I'm just trying to get it so it melts tomorrow. I'm glad I seen it, but I hope I never see it again.
Of course, the idea was to get away from the snow. People ask me, why you come down here? You know, people from home. Well, I want to get away from that white stuff. The only white stuff I want to see is the white stuff on the beach. Well, now there's both snow and sand down there.
We left the Midwest to avoid winter and drove right into it. So, but no, it seems pretty historic. It seems like it's maybe an all-time high in the amount of snow that they've gotten here. So it was fun to be a part of it. We came down last night. We're walking out along the beach in the snow, and there were a bunch of people down here taking pictures and that kind of stuff. So it was fun to be a part of it.
And back home, it's, you know, negative temperatures. So this feels warm compared to what we left.
A historic snowstorm that left its mark not just in the sand, but in the hearts of everyone who experienced it.
I didn't believe it when they told me on Monday that it was going to snow on Tuesday, Wednesday. I just didn't believe it till I saw it.
I guess 1989 was the last time, supposedly.
But it's beautiful.
Oh, it's so pretty. Yeah.
It'll be gone, and the other beautiful part is it'll be gone in 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So,
from snowball fights to barefoot walks in the snow, it's a moment the Panhandle won't soon forget.
Well, and that's going to do it. That's going to put a wrap on our show. For Chief Meteorologist Ryan Michaels, Meteorologist Emmett Rice, and Meteorologist Trey Tonneson.
Alerting you
first. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and be back soon.